If you're considering whether to sell final expense insurance on a face-to-face or belly-to-belly basis, this video might just save you from making like the biggest mistake potentially of your life. I'm Doug Massey, and I sold final expense face-to-face for years and at an extremely high level. Accolades include 5-star life insurance company's #1 agent in 2014 and Security National Life's #1 producer 3 years in a row. So please give this video a like and subscribe. We're putting out new insurance sales content and final expense sales training videos like pretty much every week. The bottom line is this: some parts of the country are totally doable for face-to-face final expense sales, and other parts of the country are like so bad that when I tried to sell there personally, I totally failed. In this video, I'm going to show you how I would find the hot spots to sell in and give you some locations to just forget about, including, we'll start with my hometown of Miami, where I was actually a top producing mortgage protection insurance agent. And then when I switched over and tried to do final expense there, I completely failed, like fell flat on my face. Stick around to the end of the video, guys. I'm going to be happy to show you how to get the new agent file that has sales material that you're absolutely going to want for selling final expense, whether it's remotely or face-to-face. Before I start naming hotspots, I need to share something with you that is really messed up about final expense agencies, even the good ones. And I've mentioned this in other videos, but it's important. I need to rehash this. Sorry. Hopefully it's not too much. And the only way I can really make my point is to give you an example. So one example is something I saw in a Facebook group by David Kinder called Professional Life Insurance Agent Discussions. Now, because of David's solid reputation and background, the group is known as the place where all the truths are spoken. Like the group to be part of if you're a life insurance agent. When it comes to final expense sales, you do not want to post or ask for help on this group because the information you get there is as manipulative and misleading from the other agency owners as possible. Now, hold on, let me explain. There have been multiple posts where a final expense agent would come on stating that maybe they're new or that they've been trying to sell final expense face-to-face for a while and are having a lot of issues, basically failing. On January 26th of 2024, I was on the group reading through a post where an agent was failing and has been failing for 8 months, struggling and just trying to make it work. People offered to help. They gave advice based on what little information that they had. So at least they were trying to help. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that they could have suggested or questioned or brought up that would have actually helped the agent never happened. They never brought this up, and they knew better. What's disturbing is I know a lot of these people personally, and for whatever reason, not one of them brought up the fact that the agent might be in a state or a part of the country where failure is imminent. These guys are insurance agency owners and have seen agent after agent fail in those same states and areas. And they all know my story of how I failed out in Miami, only to become a super producer by traveling throughout Florida, working like the rural areas and maybe smaller towns, you know, that are away from the big metro areas. I feel like what happens is if the agency owner or manager can manage to keep a struggling agent selling, then they can make a little bit of commission off of that agent. And after the agent fails and possibly like loses everything potentially, which like I said, the agent never had a chance and they knew it, the recruiter and or agency owner at least made something off of, off the agent. Another thing that absolutely needs to be addressed is the fact that direct mail leads are no longer the best lead for final expense face-to-face sales. They used to be, but now they're too expensive, and the verbiage on these cards is very misleading. Now, I would say if you're selling both Medicare products and final expense, then you can make it work. That to me is the only way it's going to work. Or at least be able to give you an opportunity to sell at a high level. I mean, that's the way I see it. My perspective is if we're going to sell insurance, we want to make at least 6 figures. And yet, at the end of the day, these manipulative agency owners all say that it's still the best lead. Guys, it's not. Dollar for dollar. Your best return on investment will come from working $15 internet or Facebook leads. They've got to be exclusive though. That really is the key. Now, let's talk hotspots and or places to absolutely avoid. Forget about California. and Utah. I've never seen or heard of any top producing face-to-face or even somewhat successful agent who sold face-to-face in those two states. Never seen it, never heard it, never met anyone that did. Florida is really beat up too. However, you can have success working in some of the rural areas and smaller towns. It's a grind, but it's potentially doable. You just forget about the big cities. And in pretty much, I want to say most of the other US states, as far as they're concerned, I would treat them pretty much the same as Florida. Well, Texas is a little different, but similar to Florida, but I'll get to that in a minute. In most of your major cities, now we're talking about the big metros, you pretty much don't have a chance. At least your typical insurance agent doesn't. I mean, they have been overrun. These cities are being overrun with life insurance agents for years and years who are all fighting and jumping over each other for the same clients. And at the end of the day, it is a lot of work and basically a recipe for failure and disaster. Texas. Kind of unique. Now, I personally know that Houston and the surrounding towns is kind of doable for the right agent. It's weird because this is one of the largest cities in the country, but for whatever reason, if you target the areas just outside of that city, you can have success. It's a lot of driving, it's a lot of work, a lot of door knocking, but I think it's doable. And just to be clear, I'm assuming that you are a talented sales professional who understands the basics of 1, closing sales, 2, overcoming objections, and are really strong when it comes to communication and body language. And let me close with one last important little tidbit. The final expense market has changed a lot over the years, and unfortunately, most final expense agencies are still pushing the same old methods that were great a few years ago. Barely work. At least they don't work nearly as much nowadays. Being a successful face-to-face agent means you might make $60,000 per year. You're not going to make over $200,000 per year like what I was making back then. Another thing is that back when I was selling, I was so busy with booked appointments that I rarely had time to door knock leads between my appointments. And it's kind of the exact opposite nowadays. I truly believe for you to have success selling on a face-to-face basis, like I said, to not even earn, it's not going to happen. You're not going to earn $100K per year. You'll be door knocking most of your leads over and over, as you won't get appointments from more than 25 to maybe 30% of your leads. Don't shoot the messenger, guys. That's just how it is. I know. That's not what you want to hear, but the truth is, guys, that is how it is. Don't shoot the messenger for being honest and transparent. The information in this video is all based on my personal field experience, along with my experience training and working with final expense agents over the past 10 years. If you'd like a copy of the free new agent file that I mentioned back at the beginning of the video, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com for more information on our remote final expense sales platform, where you, the agent, can get between 20 and 30 appointments every single day of people expecting your call. Just shoot me an email at that same address. As always, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now get out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.